Moment of truth. I kindly request we a new chapter for APTAK. Bwana President, I know you want to acknowledge a few other people, and I'll allow you to do that in a short while. Let's allow our other distinguished gentlemen to take their seats. Asanteni sana.
You know, I like hopeful people. I'm a very positive-minded person. I have no room for negative thoughts. When our third president, Kibaki, came in, I do remember very well that he came in when already the Nyayo era had actually literally put our economy into a big mess. Mm-hmm. Do you remember he made a promise that he was going to make primary school education free? There were no resources. But the main thing is the political will to say that. I am actually challenging all of us to say, why should you be chillers or be, as a working class person, that your brother who is not having unemployment, why can't we arrange a universal pension for everybody so that we leave nobody behind? It is doable, and I believe we can do it. Thank you.
All right, I like it.
Security. Maybe for purpose of getting a bit of background about me, although I'm a lawyer by training, but of course, for those who have known me, I've generally been working in the industry for the last 15 years. But within these 15 years, I've learned to work very closely with the Ministry of Labor, Social Security, and Social Protection. And I have been a member of International Social Security, where I am currently a member of the Bureau, which is based in Geneva. Now, one of the serious discussions when ISA, which is an over 100 years association internationally, and which our institution here is a member,
yes,
is that they have been talking about universal social security coverage, and it has been actually codified under international labor organization conventions. Now, these are domesticated in Kenya through our constitution. Article 43 of the Constitution domesticates social security and social protection. And that's why you find certain rights have actually been recognized in our Constitution, and even our municipal law. Normally, our Kenyan law is called municipal law for lawyers. Our municipal laws have actually recognized that, and that's why, Habiagina, you have been seeing the Ministry of Labor distributing cash transfers to the elderly. It is in recognition of the convention signed by Kenya of that responsibility. But unfortunately, we have taken it to be a last priority or not a very first priority. So it means elderly in our society, unless you have been working for jobs which we have been working and you have saved, your employer enabled you to save, your retirement can easily become a nightmare. And it's going to happen for many of us because we have no arrangement made by the government in any way. And everything else is taken as a tokenism. Our members of parliament, we need to actually take them to training, all of us here, for them to appreciate that there is a responsibility. And sometimes they forget that they actually retire also. Since I work in the county government space, I am actually engaging with former councillors who have actually come back to ask for a pension from the government. So to avoid that, I am talking about, can we move to a mandatory universal pension arrangement? And I've written so much about it, and I'm still writing more. And our APTAK Association has actually put forward for the next year's budget proposals for this. So I will be talking more about it. Thank you very much, Abby.
And Mr. President.
My CEO here, good friend, I don't know how he doesn't know that there's an M pension in the market. Okay, I think he says he does. But I think what he may be saying is proliferation, getting it being available widely.
Correct.
Just like the way M-Pesa is very popular. I think the challenge why we don't have people utilizing a lot the individual pension arrangement, because we do have, as I said, for CPF we have M pension, which you can get, and actually you can get it on we have an hub, and you can even check under Safaricom Super Hub. It's one of the first ones to be in the Safaricom Super Hub. But we also have our sister scheme here, institution here, Zamara. They have products there. RBA sometimes promoted BAO, you remember, through the association of the Chiwakali. And others, I think, quite a number of our players are now going. But the challenge, Habi, is that pension is not on top of mind of our Kenyan people.
Why is that?
That's where the challenge is. The first thing, the top of mind ideas, and I have actually shared with, the association has shared these issues with the RBA so that they can understand that you need to do something different to be able to get the Kenyans to take pension to the top of the pile. The first thing which competes is, of course, food, shelter, clothing, and then followed now by what Kenyans love most, what we used to have a good time, Friday. We spend more money on that.
Yes.
We also spend a lot of money on jewelry and other things for our ladies. But then when it comes to investment, our first point of investment for Kenyans in the shamba, plots, kablot. The second thing which competes for them is chama, for the ladies mostly. And for the men, they have this fixation through their cooperatives to save and then borrow. And then the banks, of course, are lending easy. So people are ready to get, you can see M-Shwari the way it has grown. Now, those are the kind of things which are top of mind.
Does this apply to the millennials as well?
Oh, yes. I mean, you had the other day, I think there was some story going around that Kenyans are borrowing $1 billion shillings a day. And who are those Kenyans? Mm-hmm. It's our children, it's our young people. And we have put them in a fix because we have taken them to a very high level of expectation by taking them to the best schools. We promise them that jobs will be available at the end of the line. They come out and there are no jobs. So what do? They have to survive. They have to take care of their girlfriends. So what do? They pretend that they have some money, so they borrow. Yes. They borrow from their parents. The parents are no longer giving. Uh-huh. So they go to them, and that's why we have a challenge for them. You remember even the president had to ask the central bank suspend the
listing.
The listing.
Yes, and CRB.
Because the people we are punishing are our young people. Mm-hmm. So we owe it to our young people that we actually be creative, you guys who are here. We cannot run away from it, and we need to help SHAME. SHAME is our hub for innovation in this industry. There's nothing which says that this industry cannot innovate. And we want our government to be able to listen. So there is something I have put a sandbox request, and they have granted us at CPF. Because of proprietary reasons, I cannot discuss it now here, but we possibly will discuss it in another meeting. How to really create and take pension to be a top-of-mind item as opposed to be where it is. That's where the problem is.
Very, very interesting.
We started way back as APTAK, basically because we were feeling orphaned a bit. We felt that as administrators our voice was not being heard. And all of us congregated and said, let's come together. But then, later on, look at the law, the RBA Act, and realize that actually administration of pension schemes cannot be separated from trusteeship. The trustees are the owners of the money, of the assets of the, and they are the ones who have fiduciary responsibility to the members. So what happens then? We cannot just stand there and say we are administrators as if we are independent, alone. So we are tied by at the hip with trustees. Kweli rongo? Sini kweli? From today, happy as a good trustee, and I think you have I'm sure you have gone for the training of TDBK here. You are a certified trustee. There's something my Secretary General did not say, that in our Constitution, which we had to amend, actually the entire Constitution now is very professionally done and is in line with the Retirement Benefits Act and regulations. For us to have you as a member, if you are a trustee, you have to be a certified trustee. So you need to get certified. So you can see when I'm home that we are actually linking all these things. The second thing that if you are a corporate trustee, you've got to be a registered corporate trustee who is compliant. And I think I can see in the latest amendments to the RBA Act, there's additional regulations on corporate trusteeship, which has been missing in the past. I think that's a good move, Dr. Tuktari. And I want to say this. I have a few colleagues who are coming, but there's one very important visitor who is supposed to be with us, and if he comes, please. That is the Director of Pensions, Dr. Mr. Kagigai. I don't know whether he has come. Okay, if he comes, please. He's a very important visitor coming from the government, and therefore will also, actually he's an administrator, and so he will also be part and parcel of us. We also have in the House a few members, and I will be mentioning them maybe later, but one of the key ones who is sitting next to me is my friend and former CEO, where I was a trustee again, as well as a director at NSC, that is Dr. Geoffrey Otundo. And Otundo, you will be able, you know all these guys, but when we are coming to the panel discussion, I will invite you to also talk about the evolution of this industry, and particularly the capital market. So the other members whom we have apart from trustees and corporate trustees is the student trustees. So if you are undertaking training in student to be a trustee, you qualify to be a student member. So we want to work with you from the one side to the other. The other side of administrators, the Constitution says that you've got to be qualified as by the requirements of RBA in terms of being an administrator. So and for now, of course, there is clear qualification for corporate administrators. I know all of us who are here who are running administration businesses, all of us are qualified. So those are the members who are qualified to be members of this as corporate administrators. And I want to really applaud our founder members and the colleagues who are with us. The other administrators are individual trustees who are running secretariats of the retirement benefit schemes. So we do have many of them. One of them, of course, is my vice president here and others. Then we do have, again, those ones who are not necessarily the principal officer of the administration or the administration, but they are officers working within the administration of that institution. They are qualified as ordinary individual members. And now these are the people who will remain as members forever until you retire to move from one side to the other, as the SG has said. Now, we allow also other stakeholders to be part of us. We call them honorary members. So we will be, in every year when we have our international conference, we will be admitting certain people who have played a critical role in pension industry generally, not just in administration, but generally we feel that these people have contributed critical into that. And there's some very key people we are already looking at their CVs and their performance. Some of them have been founder leaders of our regulatory authority. This is the kind of situation we feel creates an orderly way of engaging. We do have our sister association, ARBS. Now, we are also dual members of this association, and we have actually pledged to work in partnership. But our feeling was that ARBS also encompasses the other service providers, and sometimes, therefore, when we want to speak about purely trusteeship and administration, we need to be in APTAK. But when we want to also mingle with the industry, we are together with ARBS. So I wanted to make it very clear. I wish my good friend Yakundi was here, being the chairman of ARBS, I believe. And our other colleagues from Samara and the others, Octagon and others, are also members of the association. I think SG, later on, you will need to come and read out the list of our members, because it includes quite a number of members whom we have here and others who are not here. We have a lot of universities which have got pension schemes. They are currently all joining. We have heard, I want to say, some of our founder members of the association from the beginning were even universities, and we mentioned Maseno, Moi University. We do have Dedan Kimathi University, and also JQuat. And then we have the private sector. You can see we have Kenya Airways. I've invited some of my colleagues who are, I was trustee with them at NSC and CDSC Provident Fund to also join us, and I encourage the other private sector to always work together. Let's not have this unnecessary Chinese wall between the private sector and public sector schemes. We are all together. And personally, just like there was a need in the year 1997 for retirement benefits sector to be made independent of employers and members, and the trustees to be given the fiduciary responsibility to take care of the members' money, that same realization is actually together as with us now today. Some of the funds we have, like my funds, which are large, seems to be attracting attention from, again, another element whereby there's a need, there's a feeling that there should be an encroachment. I want us to protect, all of us, independence of the pension schemes. Please don't keep quiet when there's an encroachment, because the sins of yesteryears where pensions used to be used by institutions to run their normal business can come back again. So we are happy that ARBS put us together when there was a challenge of requiring that somebody else regulates a part of the functions of a trustee, which includes looking for service provision and items for running the pension scheme. I know that matter has not been concluded in the Court of Appeal, but it's a way that all of us must stand together. Nothing, just like Kenyans fought for independence, it's not easy sometimes to win some of these wars. But I want to tell you, I'm so courageous that I want to protect pension industry. And please, those who are with me, let's stand firm, because when we retire, we don't want anybody to touch our money. Our lives depend on independence of the pension scheme. Kweli rongo. Thank you. So with those remarks, I want to say, I think we'll proceed with the meeting. We are expecting.
And ask ourselves, where do we come from? Prior to 1996, we were living in the dark ages. The dark ages is that one. We did not have a regulator. We did not have a major stake in the pensions industry, in that we as the consumers, we as the owners of the pension schemes, we as the investors in those pension schemes, we did not have anything to do with the pensions industry, because the darkness required that KRA collects tax and the nobody else has anything else to do with the pension schemes. But some wise persons, like the ones we had at APTAK when it was APAK, some wise people met and they said, no, we need to investigate Kenya. In the investigations, they realized that the pensions industry had not been taken care of. They therefore established a regulator for the pensions industry, Retirement Benefits Authority. Shem, we are grateful that you are in town and you are making the steps for us. And whenever we call on you, you actually receive us. We are grateful. We need to look at why we have APTAK. We need to look at the membership, and we could have a discussion when you want. We didn't have a pension regulator. Disclosure requirements were not there. In fact, we were being told that whenever you lose a job, you can also lose the job together with your pension. Maybe that was a serious statement to make for anybody. I do not know. Now that you are in the industry, you better take this one for free. Pension is a right. It is not a privilege. And you cannot say you retire somebody or you dismiss somebody from employment and now he loses the pension together with the terms of service. There were no requirements for disclosure like annual report, no preservation, and there were no standards set for funding of pension industries. That's the dark age we came from. But now the wise people came with a regulator. They have put in place a requirement for the regulator to regulate the establishment and management of retirement benefit schemes. As the regulator looks at the industry, he must ensure that the interests of members and the sponsors of retirement benefit schemes are looked at. I would like to show this by saying the interests here are both the sponsor interest and the member interest. So you don't say, like I heard people say when I was regulating, that Retirement Benefits Authority is only busy protecting members' interests. No, Retirement Benefits Authority is very busy recognizing and protecting a sponsor's interest in a retirement benefit scheme. Retirement Benefits Authority should advise minister on that, the government, on the way forward in the pensions industry. But why do you need APTAK? APTAK as an organization itself is a non-profit organization. We don't make any profits. We are only there to serve the members. We have a written constitution which guides on who should be a member and how the management will be done. The persons primarily running it is the Congress, which meets together with all the members, they make a decision. The Council, which is the primary organ directing the actions, and the Secretariat, which works as the handman of the Council. The Executive Committee now constitutes the President. This is the President of the Association, not the President of the Republic of Kenya. The President of the Association is Hosea Kili, is present here. The Deputy President is Charles Nyamaino, is present here. The Treasurer is Peter Rotich, is present here. And the retired Secretary General is present now speaking to you. My name is Boniface Mwangangi. Now, why do you need APTAK? Its business is to ensure promotion of prudent trusteeship and administration. If you heard what Ayabei described as their thinking behind, we want to see an industry where the administrator and the trustee are capable of thinking and working in the same direction and not in contravention or appear to be fighting either the government or the regulator. Nothing of that sort. We are a service providing organization without looking for any profits, and we would like to render you a service, ladies and gentlemen, that is independent and is clear of any colors of influence by a service provider or any other person who is rendering services in the industry. We want to ensure there is best practice in trusteeship and administration of retirement benefit schemes. We will do so by conducting regular trainings, education, and partnership so that we have a system which is recognized nationally and it works nationally with all the stakeholders. That's why, ladies and gentlemen, today We have invited every other person who is a stakeholder without caring to say that is not a member of APTAK. We realize and recognize all of you in the industry, whether or not you are a member. We need to give you an assurance today. We are non-political and we have no affiliation to any political activity. Neither are we desirous of being affiliated to any other person except service in the industry. And I repeat, except service in the industry. We do not desire to be affiliated with a certain cause, which is prejudicial or non-prejudicial, but a service to the industry we will recognize and we will be part of it. We will, and we assure you, ladies and gentlemen, give you well-researched objectives, independent and reasoned opinions, and give you guidance as members in anything that comes forward, and you know it, and it touches the pensions industry. We have resource persons who we are working with at the Secretariat and outside the Secretariat. We will be managed to give you that service. Our members are corporate members. We have administrators. We are registering corporate trustees, and we have individual persons who are trustees and other persons who are studying or are geared towards becoming service providers in that industry. Even students who are learning anything to do with pensions, we are interested in having them registered as members of the association. These are benefits that so far, and we have only taken a limited number, that we would like to provide to the members. We need to cooperate and work with government, regional, and international organizations, and other stakeholders. We recognize we cannot make a step and work better alone. We want to encourage and promote settlement of disputes. We have too many of those disputes all over the place. Even from here, I'm supposed to go and teach something in dispute resolution in retirement benefit schemes. I've already done it for one of our members to completion. I'm going to do it for another of our members today. And we need to have a forum for dialogue and advocacy. We don't want to take adversarial steps against or for any person. We want to work, and we'll try as much as possible to work with every other person who has an interest in this industry. Joint researches with the trustees and administrators. Ladies and gentlemen, we realized when we had APAK, Association of Pension Administrators, we had left out the crucial owner of pension schemes, who is the trustee. Trustees have a body and experience and wealth in pension administration. You need them, and we need them. With the trustees, we are able to do a number of researches, and I can confirm that we have already done it and submitted in our memorandum that is required for consideration this and next year for implementation. And we have submitted a memorandum well-researched from the trustees and administrators. Thank you so much, any trustee who is present here, and you gave us your ideas. Thank you, any administrator present, and you gave us your ideas. We confirm we have presented them. We will give you independent advice on topical issues, because we don't render any service. And we don't render services for profit. Ladies and gentlemen, we assure you, the person we are loyal to is you, the member of APTAK. We will only be able to give you independent advice that will assist you to find an answer to an issue that you want, without any conflict about anything else. What we give you is the best we know how, and it will be delivered to you. At any time, you only need to let us know. We will advise you on dispute resolutions which occur in retirement benefit schemes. We have already staged a program for training, and we will do so for members. We will announce that. Then we will also advise you on regulatory compliance and give you legal advice where you would desire any, and it will be an independent opinion. From here, ladies and gentlemen, we need to start, and we will do so. we will hold monthly seminars, physical or webinars, to ensure that you receive information. In the meantime, as I speak to you, the burning issue, one of them is dispute resolution in pension schemes. You can be sure that will be done before the end of this month. We will give you notice and allow you to join a link for which we can deal with dispute resolutions. Quarterly meetings will be held to discuss affairs of the association. We will give you notice so that you can give us information, and particularly the council members, we will require your guidance whenever we are having these issues. Annual international conference, the first one will be held. It is targeted for November. Just in case it doesn't take place, November is just a month ago, no, a month to come, we will give notice to every person present here, because we have your contacts. Whether you are a member of APTAK or not, we would like you to benefit in that conference where topical issues in the pension industry will be discussed. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much.
Must recognize is what is the role of a pension scheme. Now, the role of a pension scheme is to give you a safety net on retirement, and that pool of money should actually be a real return, a real pool of money, not eroded by inflation. So, over the years of investments, it's important that trustees get real returns over and above the level of inflation, so that they're able to give their members a comfortable retirement. And I think that's the most important thing. But that begins with the process of asset selection and picking assets that can actually give you inflation-beating returns. So we recognize that we have a role to play. The capital markets do provide asset classes that are very attractive. I do say that with a bit of caution, because we've got volatility in these markets. But overall, we provide a very, very ideal asset class. So what we've done as the NSC is really see that how can we broaden our offering. So in our new strategy, 2020-2024, we are actually enhancing uptakes of our new products. In the last 5 years, we have actually developed almost 5 new products. I'm speaking about real estate investment trusts, derivatives, ETFs, and really these are really new products that are a bit very good for the market. We've also introduced what we call an OTC market for private listings, so which again, companies that are not ready to come to the market but have got good returns and good governance structures around them are being put on that platform. And we see these as opportunities for trustees to broaden their portfolios as well as to manage risk. I'd like to point out that we have seen a high level of volatility because there's no level of protection of pension funds. So derivatives is a market we created to provide protections. We've so far developed future contracts. So if you have exposures in equities, you're able to take a hedge using derivative contracts, and that's going to help you really manage that, because recognizing what happened during COVID, there was a lot of devaluation, especially on the equity markets. If you had protection by having sell contracts, for instance, to protect certain portfolios, you'd actually be better off. We've done a back testing of this, and we've seen some great value that would have been created. My colleague Terry, who runs the derivatives market, can attest to that. So are we encouraging trustees to really get out of the traditional thinking of let's just buy stocks and leave them exposed, but take a derivative contract to wrap it and to protect it. And that way you're going to be able to minimize the exposure like what we saw during COVID. The other thing that we have actually done as well, and we're in the process of just about to launch, is introduce securities lending and borrowing framework. Now trustees, pension funds are long-term asset holders. So you hold a position of a stock, you actually hold it more or less in perpetuity. But why not lend that stock to the market and then make some returns over time? And then in the process, you're able to get that market back, that stock back. You don't lose your dividends, you don't lose your bonuses. The economic benefits of your asset remain with you. But you're able to lend this to an investor who will trade on it and return it. Now that's another way of enhancing returns. So we'll also soon be introducing day trading, where you'll be able to buy and exit a position in a day, and that again should be able to help turnover go up. So there are all these new ideas we are encouraging trustees to look at. Look at real estate investment trusts. You're all holding property assets that again were highly illiquid or remain highly illiquid now. I don't think we'd ever recognize a position that we'll all be in today where property is not as attractive as it used to be. I think we all rent into property and we're making some incredible returns. It used to give me nightmares. But now, cash is king. And everybody who's holding cash is picking assets, even property, at really discounted values. So I think there's need for trustees and pension and administrators and pension funds to really modernize how they manage their money, use the products we've given you in the market to really do that, and really help you protect the investment return for pension funds. And I like forums like this because these then give you a knowledge-sharing platform, and you're then able to really understand and learn from each other. Kenya is still a very young country. We have very young workforce, so nothing stops us from really taking more aggressive positions in the market and really protecting those investors, those pensioners.
All right.
Pensioners. First of all, I want to just confirm to my former director that I'm aware that we have M pensions. I think my concern has been the APTAK,
Yes.
which again he has rightly pointed that it's in terms of mind share. Pension funds are considered. I'll take care of that when I'm nearer 50, which ideally I say is a reality. I think as I enter 50, I'm now more concerned about the returns I'm getting now, about my pension funds as opposed to when I was a younger guy.
Yes.
So I think we need to, there's a need for that change of mindset which has to happen. Now, to your question about the innovations that we can do around enhancing interest in the pension sector, I think there are very many innovations. One of the things that I think we need to see in this country going forward is having specialist fund managers. No cause of alarm to any. I'm a former fund manager, so pious, don't kill me. But I think there's some fund managers who have got unique strengths. There's some who are good in fixed income. There's some who are very good in equities. There's some who are good in derivatives. So I think in the future, if a fund can then have a composite of managers based on their specialization, now that should help. So that if I have a fund and I know there's this fund manager, his focus is equity, that's what he does, he's got a deep research team that looks at equities, then that becomes his foray and he gets that money and that allocation. If there's a fund manager who's got a good international strength, then they're given that allocation. So that's going to be a good way to also enhance maximum returns. So that's a good way of going into the future. I think it's important that fund managers start looking at expanding the scope of their investments. And I think for this to happen, owners of capital needs to be flexible. We need to move away from trying to making very rigid investment policies, because I think that's one of the handicaps we've seen. We have been on derivatives since 2019. Our biggest issue is the investment policies. It was prescribed explicitly, no investing in derivatives. So, because of 2008 global financial crisis. But nobody really understands that those were not exchange-traded derivatives. Those were over-the-counter derivatives. So they didn't have any form of regulation. So because of that, the derivatives market is still highly retail. And you have lost money. Last year, you lost a lot of money because you had no protection on any of your markets. So I think that's important. So we need to be flexible, allow those fund managers to get more mandate to invest in more areas. I think for the younger guys, they actually are looking at being very informed about their portfolios. I think today, if I was a 25-year-old guy, and I would want to look at my statement, I can just go in and see what my account looks like real time.
Yes.
I think technology has to come in. And that way they'll be able to get an interest into this. And of course, more education, more communication coming through, I think is important. I am saying we have done well. I was a fund manager in 2000. I think, Jonathan, you remember, when this market was now being regulated for the first time. And we were starting off at a very low base. And to see it at 1.4 trillion now, it's amazing. And I think we could be among the top 3 or top 4 in Africa. So we're doing well. But now I think we can just take it to another level.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
In our industry, we basically have one very critical saying where we say liquidity begets liquidity. Now, we will not see international capital coming into a market where there's no strong domestic pools of capital. A local domestic pool of capital is so important to attract international pool of capital, because when these investors come in, they want to have natural exits through the market. And that's why the growth of pension schemes are so important for the capital markets. We are very happy to see them grow at these fast rates, and ours is to encourage them. So they play a very significant role in the development of capital markets. We are currently ranked as one of the best performing frontier markets in the world using the MSCI Capital Markets Index. That gives us a good positioning as far as that's concerned. We're looking at becoming an emerging market, and we need to tick some boxes, and critical to that is the capital formation of our domestic market. And critical to capital formation then are pension funds. So we are very, very cognizant that we need to encourage the growth of pension funds, increase the coverage from the current 15%, enhance interest, have voluntary contributions. Chairman here is a champion of the AVCs. As our chairman of the NSC pension scheme, he used to give us money or reward us with money to actually invest for ourselves. So I think we need to encourage those, and we need to encourage employers. I like your point about the mandatory universal pension scheme. It's really important. We need to do that, and that's very important. You spoke about technology, and technology for us is very critical. One of the things that we would like to see, and we're happy to see starting now, is the ability of Kenyans being able to actually have pension funds, even if they're in the informal sector, but through an online platform. Today we have Kenyans who are very big on M-Pesa, M-Akiba, M-Shwari, and all this, but I've not heard of a real uptake of M-Pension. Where are they saving that money? So we need to have...
That's a good challenge.
we need to have that level of interest coming through, where you can aggregate all these small monies into some larger pool of capital and invest. And that way, I think we're going to really transform our market. So I think technology has to be central in that setup.
Fantastic. I know
this had some impact because the level of contributions came down.
Do you have the numbers you share with us?
I'll not want to share with you the numbers, but I'll share with you the numbers in the market.
Fantastic.
Yes, because the markets were equally hit, and where pension monies are put, the returns actually declined. And that's why we've seen the growth. This between June last year and June 2021, the assets have grown by 5.6%. Ordinarily, it should grow by an average of 10%, and that is where we forecasted to have in the year 2019 to have almost doubled the assets under management to 2.4. So you see where we are is as a result of the impact of COVID, but I think the situation is now reversing with the markets looking upwards, and we think sooner or later we'll be back on the trajectory to where we want to go.
All right, I like your optimism.
Quite a number of challenges in the industry that got us thinking. I'm sure where you sit, you have seen layoffs. We have seen at the authority request for suspension of contributions. We have seen requests for access to withdrawals. And we have seen requests to not comply with some regulations that we enforce. And being a listening regulator, we actually innovated regulation and accepted some of the issues that trustees of pension schemes were not able to comply with. For example, we were able to suspend some of the meetings that they usually have that delayed some of the submissions that come to the authority, like the audited financial statements. We also allowed them to suspend, we also suspended the TDPK training, and I think most of us have done that training. We have since revised the curriculum, and if you have done it, we might call you for a refresher course in the near future. So a number of these things made us be very innovative in the way we regulate, and that has pushed us to where we are. I'm sure that in whatever sector you are in the country, we rely a lot now on technology to conduct business. So we do a lot of virtual meetings. We do a lot of submissions online. And I think that's where we are going. So we are not a very rigid, we are not rigid regulator at all. And we listen. And I think those are some of the lessons that we have picked. And we have actually also looked beyond our shoulders in the region, where we have the East Africa Pension Supervisors Association, in the continent, where RBA is a founding member of Africa Pension Supervisors Forum. The inaugural conference was held here. And we have also gone beyond Africa and looked at what is happening elsewhere in other jurisdictions under the umbrella of International Organization of Pension Supervisors. And part of the responses we've had here as a regulator have been very common with other regulators elsewhere. And so when circumstances like COVID-19 hit, I think we are called in to be very innovative in the way we regulate, in the way we supervise, so that things do not stall. I think those are some of the lessons. Thank you.